All right, let's jump right in. Today we're breaking down a text that makes a pretty wild claim, that there's a divine being, what the author calls the greatest creator, who is watching every single one of us, you, me, everyone, all the time. It's a huge idea to wrap your head around, so let's walk through exactly how the author builds their case.
So here's the game plan for how we'll trace this argument. First up, we'll tackle this core concept of the divine watcher. Then we'll explore a really interesting personal analogy the author uses to make it more concrete. After that, we'll look at some everyday examples they bring up, dig into the big so what, the consequences and rewards of believing this, and we'll wrap it all up with a challenge the author throws out to all of us.
Okay, so first things first, we're starting with the main idea of the whole piece. And yeah, it's probably the toughest pill to swallow in the entire argument.
To get us into this mindset, the author kicks things off with this ancient Chinese proverb. It's a way of grounding the whole thing, saying, hey, this isn't some brand new, crazy idea. It really sets the stage for the core belief that we're never truly unobserved.
And right away, the text hits on the exact question that I'm sure just popped into your head because it was on my mind too. How on earth could one being possibly watch everybody at the same time? The author gets it. They know that from a purely logical standpoint, this sounds, well, impossible. It's a huge hurdle for our minds to get over.
So, to try and bridge that gap between this massive divine concept and something we can actually grasp, the author uses a really powerful analogy, and it comes straight from their own life.
Okay, so the author is a spiritual guide, and they say, look, I do this on a smaller scale. I constantly watch every single one of my followers. But, and this is the key part, they're not claiming to have some kind of supernatural power. It's not psychic. It's a very real, very grounded method of just paying close attention to what people say and do.
And they actually break their method down into these 4 steps. It's pretty fascinating. First, they just observe, watch what people say, what they do. Then, from all that outside stuff, they try to figure out what's really going on inside a person. That leads to step 3, figuring out where that person is headed, their potential destiny. And finally, based on all that info, they adjust their guidance to help that person.
So here's the real kicker. The author, Su Feng, is basically saying that everything you do on the outside is a perfect window into your inner self. You can't hide it. And get this, he even argues that saying nothing or doing nothing, well, that also exposes you. Every action and even every inaction becomes data.
All right, so now the author takes this personal idea and scales it up. They start looking for examples out in the real world to argue that this kind of comprehensive watching isn't as strange as it sounds. In fact, it's kind of all around us.
The first example is one we can definitely all relate to, the surveillance camera. I mean, think about it. It just sits there, constantly, impartially recording everything that happens in its view. No judgment, just a perfect, clear record of activity.
Then they shift gears to something a bit more organic, a farmer. You can have a huge herd of animals, but a good farmer, they know their flock. They know which one is healthy, which one is feeling a little off, which ones have certain personalities. It's this deep, personal knowledge of each individual, even within a huge group.
Following that, we get another analogy many of us have experienced, the teacher. A really great teacher isn't just talking to a room full of faces. They know who's getting it, who's struggling, who might be having a bad day. It's that same theme again, right? Individual awareness within a whole collective.
And the final example is probably the most personal and powerful one for a lot of people, the parent. Parents just seem to have this radar, you know? They're basically always tuned into their kids, aware of their condition, their needs, their moods. It's a constant watchful gaze.
Okay, so we've had the guide, the camera, the farmer, the teacher, the parent. After laying all of this groundwork with these analogies, the author finally gets to the big so what? Why does any of this actually matter? What's the real-world outcome of truly believing you're always being watched?
And this slide just spells it right out. The author presents these 2 totally different life paths. On one side, if you live without this belief, your life is filled with careless actions, anxiety, and fear. But if you live as if you're being watched, well, your words and actions become more thoughtful, your path through life gets smoother, and all that fear just kind of melts away.
The author really boils the benefits down to 2 huge outcomes. First, it's like having this perfect built-in moral compass. You just wouldn't dare to do the wrong thing, even in private, and so you avoid a lot of negative consequences. And second, you're freed up to just focus on doing good, trusting that those positive actions are being seen and will eventually be rewarded.
Now, this is a truly remarkable claim. The author argues this belief system isn't just about getting rewards or avoiding punishments. It's about reaching a state of zero worry, literally. The idea is, if you trust that this divine watcher is handling the big picture, you're free from all those earthly anxieties about the future. You know, what you'll eat, what you'll wear, all that stuff.
And all of this has been building to the final section. This is where the author stops explaining the idea and turns their attention directly to the reader, to you, with a final and pretty provocative invitation.
So, this is the ultimate takeaway. The realization itself, that's the transformative key. It's not just an interesting idea to kick around. The author claims this belief will fundamentally set your life on what they call a very wonderful path, making everything smoother and bringing you closer to a heavenly state of mind.
And this is where we end. Not with a statement, but with the author's direct challenge. They don't just ask you to believe. They invite you to run an experiment on your own life. Live for a while as if you're constantly being watched and just see what happens. It's a fascinating thought to leave you with, isn't it? What do you think would happen if you actually tried it?